Well, a childhood classic gets that origin story that nobody knew we wanted.
Yeah, well, Kevin didn't want it, but I did. It's a beautiful, fun, whimsical story about achieving your dreams surrounded by your friends.
We're talking about Wonka on this episode of the Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton. All right, Milton, we're back talking about Wonka.
Yes.
With Timothy
Chalamet.
Chalamet.
Yes.
Glad you said it.
Wow, you got it right.
Well, I got it right after you said it.
Yeah, I didn't want you to mess it up.
We practiced it, and I still didn't get it. So, that Timothy guy.
Yeah, that guy right there.
That guy.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, this is the second movie in this season that we're talking with Timothy.
Yeah, Dune 2, and
Dune
now
2.
Wonka. Yeah.
He's making some box office magic happen.
Yeah.
I heard that it was like in 30 years, this hasn't happened, where he's had two of the highest grossing movies back to back.
Really?
Which I was like, okay, that seems like that has happened before, but maybe not.
Yeah. Some people are so lucky.
That's right. He's not hurting. I think we're going to
No,
see
I
a
think
lot
he's
more
fine.
of him in the future. So, this is the third musical that we've talked about.
Which is weird, because you don't usually like musicals.
No, I like choreography, and I just like lyricism. Lyrics?
Lyricism.
Lyricism. That's a word.
You want to explain that? Or?
Well, it's a new word to you, but it's okay. I'm just smarter. Lyrics, like writing lyrics.
Yeah, you like a good turn of phrase
Sure.
set to music.
Yes.
Okay.
But the whole dancing thing,
You're not
like in
into
the middle
dancing.
of everybody's just hanging out. It would be like you and I if we just broke out and danced right now. It'd be weird. It's weird.
Well, for us to do it, yes. But for him to do it is great because he can dance.
He did a good job. Yeah. But I did like it. And so we talked about In the Heights, which was, who did that? That was
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yes, that guy. Yeah, the Hamilton guy.
Yes, the Hamilton.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And then another Roald Dahl movie.
Yes,
was Matilda.
that was cute. Yeah, it
was really good.
like that.
Well, this isn't a Roald Dahl movie per se. It is absolutely in his world. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then he had the Great Glass Elevator. The Great Glass Elevator is a different one.
What's that one?
What?
I don't know that one.
We talked about this last time. You
Did
have
we?
no knowledge about Roald Dahl.
No, I haven't.
And I don't know how.
Well, I didn't know. I knew some of the stories, but I had no idea that they were all connected to the same author. Like, sorry.
Like the same author wrote them all.
Right.
So Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator is the sequel to The Chocolate Factory.
Oh.
And Wonka builds this glass elevator that flies out of the factory and can go sideways and diagonal ways and up ways and down.
Doesn't that happen at the end of the original movie?
Yeah, and it continues. Yeah, that's what I'm
so
talking
it's
about.
right after that.
Yeah. And he zooms around
gotcha.
everywhere in the elevator.
So it's a sequel.
Yes.
We've had a lot of sequels lately.
Yes, but this book does not exist.
Right. This is like the origin story of how Wonka became Wonka.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of had this Johnny Depp version of this story, but it was really different and strange.
Yeah. Johnny's but let's just forget that happened.
Okay, never mind. Rewind. Cut this out of the episode, Grady.
We don't even want to acknowledge those movies happened. They're so weird.
You don't like weird.
No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Give me straightforward.
That's
A,
right.
B, C.
That's
Yeah.
right. And he
Okay.
wasn't weird.
Nothing
He
wrong
did a
with
good job. So, and the other favorite part of this movie for me was seeing Hugh Grant playing Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
Because he's a horrible person.
Well, look, the Oompa Loompa, he was not treated well. And he was seeking justice. I mean, we should be for justice, right?
Yeah.
Wonka took the final, beans, the cocoa beans of his Oompa Loompa island, and he was guarding them, and now he was punished because of that. So he had to get his paybacks.
He had a little bit of revenge against Wonka.
Yeah. He did it well, though. It was funny.
It was hilarious.
It was great.
It was really good. So
there are lots of weird things in this movie, actually. Now that you say that you don't like weird, I mean, they milked a giraffe.
yeah.
Like,
the whole movie, I was thinking like like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. But then when you put it into the world of what Roald created and what the first couple movies were, it's like, oh, okay, this fits exactly. It was kind of like Mary Poppins, where all these weird things happen in Mary Poppins, and you just go with it. Like,
right.
Yeah,
It's a fantasy, and it has, it's a beautiful story, and Roald loves to, kind of like elevate children to be heroes and make adults, like bad adults, get their comeuppance.
His stories are just horrible.
Yes.
I mean, they're throwing kids literally into closets and yelling at them and calling them names, and they're just horrible.
That's called my childhood. It's fine. We all survive.
You need a hug. But it is. I mean, a common theme is children pushing through adult adversity,
right,
and finding their own and winning in the end.
Yeah, and this story is a little bit different because it's Wonka. He is an adult, but he's got this dream that he wants to accomplish that was planted in his mind from a very young age with his mom, who was also a chocolate maker, chocolatier, or is that the right term?
Yeah.
And just everything he had to go to.
A chocolatist.
Chocolatist.
Like a lyricist, but a chocolatist.
Okay. Let's go with that. Don't think so. But anyway, the point is, like, he's facing the adversity. He's trying to make his dreams come true. He's coming up against a lot of resistance, a lot of really bad people trying to stop him from becoming who he is.
Yeah, and he has to find happiness in the midst of that. And finding that happiness through his surroundings, and more importantly, finding happiness with other people. Now, the whole thing is about finding those lifelong friendships that you want to grow and dream with.
Yeah.
And I love how you said this, because it's so true. You say, well, I'm just gonna let you say this. If you can't, well, if you can make your dream happen by yourself,
your dream's not big enough. Yeah,
that's not what you said.
No,
you said your dream's lame.
Oh. Oops. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If the dream is so tiny,
right,
that you can do it by yourself, yeah, just dream more. Dream bigger. No, but it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
Like I could think about the most simplest of things, like finishing high school. Okay, let's say that's your dream, and that's a good dream, like, because statistics. I'm getting into like politics and like humanities and everything, but the statistics show that you will be much better off in your life, financially, economically, socially, if you can finish high school.
Okay.
Finish high school, you have a much better chance at succeeding in the world. Okay. Well, how do you finish high school? You can't do it by yourself. I mean, people have tried. You have the GED, but even that. Right. You need teachers, you need direction, you need sometimes you need a community and
a tutor.
Right. You have parents who encourage you, right? And so even that dream, which seems here in America seems like a very simple thing, like most people do it, but even that takes people. Now talk about like starting a business, or starting a nonprofit, or a podcast, or whatever. You cannot do any of that by yourself, or at least not well.
I think in your mind you can, but then you're isolating the people that really surround you and help you get there, right? And this comes into like narcissistic behavior, and you're just always selfish, and you're just achieving while you're walking over everybody else, and really it's just so much more fun to do it with people, to include and to acknowledge. Like, we literally couldn't be doing this without Grady, our producer.
Yes.
Who just sets up the cameras in the studios and hits record and edits, and he is just as much a part of this as you and me sitting here.
Right. And we look at things that get achieved, and we just assume, like, you look at who's the guy who started Apple, who passed away?
Steve Jobs.
Thank you. Why couldn't I think of that? Steve Jobs. And you look at Apple, and you just be like, that's Steve Jobs. Well, no. I mean, he had an idea. He had his role in it. How did that happen? It took programmers, it took designers, it took marketing people, it took salespeople to go on the ground and like knock on doors and be like, hey, this is happening. And then you look at now the new leaders of Apple and you watch the Apple conference, right? And where it's like boom, boom, and you think like, oh, there's that guy, look what he's doing. But there's a dude hitting buttons, putting up at the screen. And I see even at church, like I pastor a church and it could easily be looked at. You look online at the service, and you can easily say, well, there's Milton, and the church is happening because of him. But like, no. You know what I did? I was at home, and I wrote a sermon.
Yeah, right.
And everything else, somebody else did.
It's almost like we need the movie end credits for everything we do.
Yes.
And that's such a great example.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah, at the end of church, you just scroll all the people who did everything.
Can you imagine if, this would be awesome, everyone was forced to print a shirt on their birthday. Okay. And on that shirt is everyone's name who contributed to you not dying, so you can be celebrating your birthday.
Like for everything. The year?
No, for your whole life. You just keep adding it, like the Stanley Cup. You just keep adding the winner. And I mean,
dude, that's a big shirt.
That's a huge shirt.
Print on the
Triple
inside?
XL. Yeah, you'd have to, because it's true. All of us have people behind us to help us become who we are.
Right. Well, we do watch movies. I'm just thinking about how often have we sat and watched those end credits scroll and just be like, my goodness, there are hundreds, sometimes thousands of people behind the scenes that are making this happen.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, and then if you look at do this sometime. If you're watching a movie, do this sometime. Like some of the titles of the people. Like one dude is like the third producer's fifth assistant.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But guess what? That person needed to be recognized because they did something. Whether it was get coffee every morning for the cast or whatever it might be, or just organize the bus that took, the cameras from here to there. Well, if that bus didn't happen, the cameras wouldn't be over there to film that scene that played such a pivotal role in the story.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think this movie shows that at the very beginning creation. I mean, he finds a couple friends in the orphanage, or, it's a jail/orphanage. And some of them have just arrived with life sentences. The others have literally grown up. And he brings them along on this journey to pursue his dream of being a chocolatier.
Yeah.
And so one of my favorite scenes from the movie is when they open the shop. I'm a big retail guy. So I was like, yes, we've arrived.
We're going to sell something, finally.
That's right. And, and they're all doing their part. They're all there kind of arranging all the displays and making it happen and all the magic behind the scenes. They're cranking cranks and setting off fireworks and doing it.
Riding bicycles, pushing clouds up in the air. And the beautiful part of that scene that I loved is the joy that all of them had. Because they for some reason, this is Wonka's shop, but they feel like they're a part of it. And they're like, I just love that I'm a part of this thing, and it's mine too. Even though it says Wonka on the outside of the store, I'm part of this store, and I'm part of making it happen. And the joy that brings when you connect with someone's dream, and you just be like, okay, I may not be the out front person, but I'm making such a solid contribution to where this is going, and I just feel proud and joy that I can play my part. And that's such an important part of dreams, right? Like, everyone has a part to play, and when you can find your part in it and be content with that part, it doesn't always have to be, the star of the show, right? It doesn't have to be that. It can just be you.
Yeah.
And just being like seeing the success, like seeing all the chocolate being sold, or seeing the live stream happening, or seeing the food giving out to the homeless or in the food pantry, and you're in the back, scrubbing away and making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but yet you see those people out there and they're happy and they're eating and they're fed. That is where the joy happens.
Yeah, it's great. I'm going to take your job for a minute.
Okay, go for it.
Usually you're the God guy here as pastor. And pastor church. And
me and God
I'm just kind of following along.
Yeah.
Going, no, that sounds good. I need to do that. I do think in this area of dreams, I do believe they can be, and most often are God-given. where it's something that if you're following God, if you're truly trying to hear His voice, which we try to do a lot, you really want to work where He's wanting to work. And in my story, God gave me this Christian music website 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was mine to own and do.
Okay.
And I treated it like that for many years. I'm going to do this. This is mine to own. I got to protect this baby at all costs. And then I had a moment where we had some financial hardship, and I really had to make a decision. Am I going to walk away from this, or am I going to be able to keep control, and I'm going to keep pushing this forward? And it was one of these let go moments where I had to really look at God and go, at the end of the day, this is yours, and I'm going to let this go. And if you want to give it back to me to shepherd better, I'm willing to do so.
Okay.
For me, it was this turning point, and that word shepherd has stood out for probably the past 6-7 years of shepherding this dream, not just for me, but for the others that have been involved. I saw my team differently. I invited more into it. I let go of so much stuff that I was holding on control. I said, you know what, you do it. If you don't do it like me, totally fine. And I found so much peace and purpose that I didn't have before by just letting go and letting other people come in. And so I don't know if that speaks to you. Maybe you've got a dream, but I would just say, ask yourself if you are shepherding that well. Are you taking care of it? Because it's not yours, right? If you look at it as like, this is God's, this is not mine to own and control, but this is mine to give away, and to let other people play. I think that's huge.
Well, and let me bring in another aspect of that, because you talked about now your dream, and then you releasing it to God. Now, earlier you called me out because I said if your dream can be done by yourself, it's a lame dream. Okay.
Okay. Don't totally disagree.
No,
I understand what you're saying.
No, and here's where the agreement is, because what you did was you recognized, I think, I'm kind of rephrasing where you came from. You recognized that your dream was beyond you. It was the dream that God gave you. So if your dream is lame because you can do it by yourself, it's because it's your dream. It's not God's dream for your life. See, Jesus said in John chapter 14, I think it's verse 12. I should have looked that up.
You're going to take the God.
I'm going to take the God.
Okay, back. You have it.
Jesus said, those who believe in my name will do the same things I do and will do even greater things. Those are Jesus's words about his followers, his disciples, which we are a part of. So he's basically saying, the dream that God has for us is a big dream. Doing greater things than even Jesus himself while he was on this earth did. Okay? Oh. So, your dream has to be, if it's lame, it's because you haven't dug deep enough into God to discover what his dream for your life is, which is going to be out of this world crazy. Okay? So, it is crazy for a dude who lives in Idaho to have a national music website. Right? And to live off of it.
Sure.
Like to feed your family and to pay your mortgage and to do all the things that you're doing. That's crazy. It's crazy for a guy who grew up in New York from an immigrant family to now be doing a podcast, having a church, being successful, baptizing people, changing lives. God is doing that, but doing it through me. That doesn't make any sense. It's because it's a dream. It wasn't ever my dream. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I'm not Spider-Man, but I'm Milton Marquez, the pastor, the chaplain, affecting lives, right? So that was his dream for me. And now it's like, and there are times when I look at that dream and I'm like, how does this even happen?
Right.
It's because it's bigger than me.
Right.
And the dream always involves people, because in the end, God's dream is for people to be changed, to be transformed. And that can happen as we all pursue a dream together. It's called the body of Christ. We do it together and we're all connected. So if your dream is lame, seek God's dream for your life and it won't be lame anymore.
I love it. That's really good. I think it's really encouraging because I think people can get really stuck in just this isn't growing or this isn't going anywhere. Are you leaning in? Are you leaning in enough, and are you shepherding it, or are you leading it and owning it? So those are good questions to ask.
Yeah.
As we kind of pull out some good from this really wonky Wonka movie. So
I didn't like that.
well, I didn't even plan on it.
Wow.
It would have been a lot
Look at that
stupider
off the
if I would
top
have
of your
planned on it.
head.
Yep. Well, that was lame. So there you go. It's Wonka on the Find a Good podcast. And hey, look what we got. We got cool little mugs. And if you want to win one, all you got to do is leave a comment.
I'm sad. Mine is empty.
Mine
I'm gonna have to go fill it.
I did wash mine between episodes.
Well, good for you.
That's good. Yeah. You can just leave a comment, like, subscribe on YouTube. Of course, if you're listening to the audio version, pop on over to YouTube, leave a comment, and you might win a Finding Good podcast mug. Thanks so much for being part of what we're doing. More episodes coming on the Finding Good podcast. Talk to you next time.